Hello, good afternoon, everybody. This is Chris Wood from Ocean3D. And Chris, so glad that you be here this afternoon. And please tell me in your own words about your company and what you do and how long you've been in business for, please.
Yeah, Ocean3D, we've been in business, well, we set up in 2018.
Mhm.
We create interactive virtual tours that can be accessed on your smartphone, tablet, desktop. You don't need a virtual a virtual headset. And what we do is that allows people to remotely access people, very much like the technology you see for estate agency, real estate. But what we specialize in is making things accessible for people with hidden conditions like autism or PTSD, that sort of thing.
Great and fantastic there. And tell me, I mean, you say you set it up in 2018. So obviously that was obviously just 2 years prior to that. That's when COVID took place, as you know. And tell me, how has that impacted your business in regards to COVID, and what action did you take, to overcome it?
Look, COVID was actually a mixed blessing for us. We'd started going down the route of thinking actually initially it's going to be mainly for sort of hospitality and that sort of thing to do that, and then COVID hit, and my partner, who's sort of the brains behind the idea, she was the one who said, well, actually, this would be brilliant for people with hidden conditions. And of course, just before COVID hit, we'd won the New Civil Engineers Future of Airports competition. So we had inquiries from around the globe, different airports, from major airports around the globe. Then COVID hit, and we thought, well, that's great. We're going to make it big immediately. And then COVID hit, and we had to turn everything on its head. But kind of fortunately, we also suddenly realized that there were a lot of colleges and schools out there who needed to be able to do virtual showings of their colleges, so students and parents could work out where the children were going to go. The students could see where they're going to go. So a lot of colleges got in touch with us and said, look, we've got a particular need to do this. So we started focusing on that side of things, and we've sort of gone on from there, really. Again, it's just grown and grown and grown, really.
Wow, wow. And what colleges and universities, I guess you tap into, are they mainly here in Cornwall, or they're abroad, or they're nationally?
Predominantly the colleges and schools have been in the southwest, so the southwest of the UK, but we've done work for airports in the US. So we're under an NDA about the one we're working on at the moment, but that's in Texas. We've done work on some holiday locations out in Greece, so sort of a fleet of sailing yachts, charter yachts out there. We're now getting into sort of cultural and historical sites. So we've done work on 3 UNESCO World Heritage sites, and a couple of hospitals, and it's just growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, great, fantastic there. And well, I was going to say, for you, as a business leader, as a business owner, what are the main learnings or the learnings that you've actually encountered, and that you obviously we always still learning, but what are your main learnings you could take away from yourself, I guess, being a business leader?
I think the main thing we because we're in a fairly new, as far as we know, we were the first business in the world to do what we are doing with this technology. The learning experience, once we realized what potential was, it was very much like standing under Niagara Falls with a thimble.
Wow.
And it was learning to sort of have a degree of focus, but still looking out for opportunities, but just focusing on what we knew was important. Making sure that we were able to do, improve what we were doing every single time. So we aim to make, every single tour we do, we're trying to improve on the previous one. Even if it's only sort of 0.5%, we're always trying to improve it one way or another. And I think, but predominantly is just sort of focusing, seeing opportunities and sort of saying, okay, well, and prioritizing.
Okay. And I mean, what steps you had to do or go through, I guess, identify those areas that you need to prioritize in your business?
Well, bearing in mind that we're very, very small business, and you're literally looking up until recently the entire workforce. So we've just now hired one more person, and that's on a part-time basis. So my non-exec director actually has an outside job. She works. She's a manager or an area manager for a mental health charity. I think the main thing from my point of view is just, I'm not particularly good with lists. I sort of like to have lots and lots of plates going, but it's just remembering, it's prioritizing, saying, okay, well, this is important, this is urgent, this can wait, but it's something that is going to bring us some business in 6 months time, 12 months time, or quite often with a lot of the stuff that we're doing, especially with larger institutions, they have a long time to pick things up. It may well be that work we're doing now may well bring in business in 18 months, 2 years time.
I see. And I guess, I'm curious about, your international and your national and your local connections. What would say, who's your best customers at the moment?
I think the one thing we've always tried to do is make sure that we make sure our customers are our biggest advertiser. We don't do any advertising at all, really. I think at the moment, probably we've been going through quite a bit of change over this year. This financial year has been very, quite heavy on sort of working out what's going to happen. There's been a lot of stuff coming at us, the cultural side of things, the historical side of things. So that's we've had to sort of pivot towards that a bit. But certainly, I think we've had some good legal advice that the tours that we're now creating could be regarded as a legal requirement for accessibility aids, in the same way that lifts or ramps are in most buildings. We've now got a legal opinion from a top firm of barristers that our tours should be regarded in the same way as those things for people with hidden conditions. That's meant we've had to sort of start getting in touch with the likes of government departments and major charities to get them aware of it and to spread the word for us. So this year has very much been about doing some groundwork, some strategic groundwork, rather than just sort of going out and getting business coming in.
Yes, great. So I love the fact that you're just planning and you're looking ahead, and and with that comes the challenges as well. So, and I know you kind of you take on some of these challenges, but what has been your main challenges for you as a business owner, and how you overcome those as well?
I think the main challenge has been, like I say, has been focusing. It's a new market. Everybody suddenly got it. Mental health and hidden conditions and inclusion, are suddenly the hot topic. And that's just, bear me 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the main thing has been is just making sure that we get back into that and sort of. So I've lost my complete train of thought there. I do apologize.
That's okay. Don't you worry about that. You just go ahead and you just talk about your challenges there and just trying to overcome those. And so get you back on that trajectory.
Challenge is very much his case of is prioritizing, prioritizing and focusing, and really making sure that we're dealing with the right things at the right time. And obviously keeping customers happy. That's a relatively easy thing to do, because the technology, once we've done it, is people tend to love it, and that's a relatively, we're on site for a relatively short period of time. We then create the tour and the interaction that goes behind it. That's a relatively short process. Everything else after that is really just making sure that we're getting ready for the next opportunity, getting ready for the next project, and also doing strategic work.
Yeah, I see. Great. And let me ask you this, as a business owner, if you had to start all over again, what would you do differently?
Given the set of circumstances we went through, which were, major pandemic, global pandemic, and potentially sort of third world war kicking off in the east, I don't think I'd do an awful lot more differently. It's worked out pretty well, really. We've 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 had some good luck. We've had some lucky breaks. We've had, and a lot of the stuff we've done has been very hard worked for. But yeah, I don't think I do anything particularly different.
Okay, okay. And you mentioned something about the potential, I guess, War 3. It's happening in Ukraine and all that. But also, we're also encountering the cost of living as well. Well, prices are going up. And so how has that impacted you as a business leader in your business and how you overcome that?
Again, took a very early decision straight on because it was about accessibility. And my family are all sort of well. My mum was a nurse. My late dad was a doctor. My aunt was a matron. My son trained as a nurse. So there's a big medical stuff. We wanted to make sure that accessibility and inclusion was sort of, it was a no-brainer in terms of price. Price had to be affordable. It had to be affordable for everybody.
Yes.
So we set up a business model that makes sure it's affordable from the outset and it's affordable going forward. We said we want this to be a no-brainer. Everybody gets charged the same price. There's no, we don't charge big companies more because they're a big company.
Yep.
Or little companies more because they're a little company and don't know. We have a flat charging rate, and we just said, right, if we can do it, we'll do it. We've done some charity work free for places that are important to us, but generally speaking, we've had this simple pricing plan, and that's it. We've just applied that ruthlessly, and it's worked well for us and our clients.
Great, great. And Chris, I could just hear the passion in your voice and what you do, which is great. And I love that. And I guess what passion comes from inspiration. So what's been inspiring you as a business leader?
I spent 30 years in a previous career, which I had a love-hate relationship with. I'd worked sort of quite hard at that and had some, good results in that nationally and whatever. But I think it's actually just knowing I've done a good job, and that sounds cheesy and a cliche, but if I know I've done a good job and I've done the best I can do, that's brilliant. And then if I know, if I can see a way of improving things, I'll always try and improve it. I think my wife always says, I'm solutions based. I don't think it's necessarily always said as a compliment, but I try and just, I love making things better and work well. I love it when something works well.
Yeah, great, fantastic there. And I tell you what, this is the last question. What advice would you give to an 18-year-old if they wanted to start their own business? What would be the advice you would give them?
I think is learn to understand things from, is learn empathy. Learn how to see things from an end user's point of view, and not just one end user, but think of the whole picture. I mean, when we're out talking with people about what we do, the clients, then we have to see it from their point of view. What solutions do they need to solve? What problems do they need to solve? But at the end of the day, it's only going to work if we solve the problem that the end user needs to solve.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of put yourself in every position that is going to be along that chain of the decision-making chain and user chain, and think, how do I solve that person's problem? How to make their life better? If you can sort of put yourself genuinely in that, not try and fit a solution to a problem, but actually be a solution to somebody's problem. There's too many solutions out there looking for a problem to solve.
Yes.